Every season has specialty dishes and specialty flavors that you're going to want to add to your particular menu. And so tonight we're fixing what's called a harvest pork chop.
Welcome to the kitchen of Ebony Ivy Thyme. I'm Leona Dooley.
And you know, harvest, apples, and tonight it's not really going to be that sweet. It's going to be more savory. So what we're going to do, we're still going to have our apples the way we want them, but what we're going to do is that we're going to use Granny Smith apples. I'm going to serve this dish over some delicious savory rice. And tonight, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to put in the bowl. I have here 2 cups of, and I'm using minute rice tonight because I'm short of time and it's been a very busy day. So what I did, I added my 2 cups of rice, and the way this particular recipe reads is that you have 2 cups of rice, 2 cups of liquid. You can use either your water or you can use your broth or stock. And so I've added that in. I've also added in some dehydrated green onions, some parsley, some chicken bouillon, just a teaspoon of chicken bouillon, or if you have the cubes, a half of a cube that I've broken into this. I've added some pepper and some salt. I'm probably going to add in just a touch of butter before I get it into the microwave, but I'm not going to do that until just before we're ready to serve dinner, because you know it's all about timing. So this particular dinner that we're going to do tonight will take about 15 to 20 minutes. How about that? So let's get it done. Okay, we got our apple cut, all 3 apples actually. I have it in a 2-cup measure, and as you can see, it's pretty well stacked. So I've got extra apples actually. So that's okay. We're going to have plenty of apples for this dish. Now, if I wanted to, over here in this rice, I could throw some of the apples in and maybe even add some cranberries in. I might do that another meal, but it's not going to be this one. Now I have a small pack of center cut pork chops, and these have been hand trimmed, and so which is very nice. I'm going to go ahead and get that open. You notice I put a towel down, and the reason for that is just in case there were any juices that I might miss. Now I have a bag from the grocery that I've got here that I'm going to stick any of the meat stuff into. Okay, so these chops are looking pretty good. You can see they're very pretty and they're bone in. So I'm going to, I only need 1, 2, I really only need 3, but the last one is a small one. So I'm going to go ahead and fix that. So I'm going to put this tray into the bag that I have over here off to the side, so that will be easy to dispose of. I'm going to get my hands washed, and then we're going to get these nice and seasoned up. Now, you know pork chops are considered to be the other white meat, and so we have to be very careful with them. We want them to be well cooked, but we don't want to overcook them. So I'm going to first sprinkle with some garlic powder. And we're doing the first side. And I'll In fact, I think I'll do all the front side and then flip them over. So that's garlic powder. We have onion powder. And today I just didn't, I've got the house seasoning, but I just didn't pull it out. Okay. And we're going to add some smoky paprika. Remember, we're going for savory. And the paprika is going to help to give them a nice color. We're not going to fry these as such. You know, a hard fry with flour and all of that. We're not doing that today. We're going to let them, they are going to cook in the skillet, but we're going to kind of give them just a gentle touch. Let them get cooked, let them get brown. And if we decide at the end that we want to add gravy, we can certainly make gravy. So I'm flipping them over, adding the paprika since it's in my hand. And I'll keep all of these bottles handy so I can give them a good clean off. Okay, there's our paprika. Here's our onion powder. Make sure you got plenty.
Home cooks, when you're trying something a little bit new, are trying to change something that you may have a vision of in your head, then you might want to read the recipe first. And then you can make any adaptations that you possibly want. Always make sure that you understand what the steps need to be, that you have all of the ingredients, and then this saves time and prevents those surprises in the middle of your cooking. Don't forget, you have to season everything, and you have to taste your dish at different stages to adjust the seasoning, particularly the salt and the pepper, and trust your palate. Now, another tip to keep in mind is clean as you cook. If you want to be able to get out of that kitchen pretty quickly once dinner is over with, then you absolutely have to keep your kitchen as clean as possible so that the only thing you really have left will be the vessels that the food may be sitting in and your dishes. Clean as you go. And you'll be a much happier home cook.
Now remember, we're trying to accomplish a very savory dish tonight. So I'm starting with just something that I don't use a lot, but I am tonight. We're going to use a little bit of bacon grease because of the fact that we're making pork chops. And I'm going to let that melt. And then we're going to add our pork chops as soon as that melts and gets nice and hot. And I've got it on a pretty high temperature because I want this skillet to get nice and toasty. Got my spurtle. We want that grease all over. Just remember, it's all about the flavor. All right, we got everything in there. It should be nice and hot. It's going to be hot enough that we're going to hear a little sizzle, but I want a big sizzle, so we need a little more heat for that. But that's the first one in. I'm going to put that in, and I'm going to let these cook kind of low and slow. I want them to be tender. I want them juicy. And I think I'm going to get all 4 of these in. I know you're thinking, that's not going to work, but yes, we're going to move things around until we get it the way we want it. All right, so there we've got all 4 of our pork chops in, so let me throw this away. Now, while that's sitting there, I'm going to add a little bit of pepper. That was the one thing we did not put on them yet, was some black pepper. And
And how much black pepper you put on is basically due about what you like. Do you like a lot or you like a little? So we've got our black pepper on. And from there, like I said, we're going to let these simmer. I want them to get a little golden brown on the underside. Okay, I want you to see how nice and golden brown these are. I'm going to flip them. Now, they're not done yet. We're just browning them first. There we go. Get them all nice and brown. That one's not quite ready yet. Change his position. There we go. All right. Oh, those are going to look so good. You just wait. You're going to see how pretty they're going to be. I'm going to sit my browned pork chops over in the cast iron until we're ready for them to come back to the main skillet. See how this one's looking. Oh yeah, he's ready. And let's take a look. Oh, that's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, now in the skillet, I'm going to turn the heat down. And in here, we're going to add our onions, apples, and some other seasonings. I got my skillet back on. I took it off for just a few minutes so it could cool down. And I'm going to add my onion. And I've cut it so that they will end up with little half moons. Just sliced it. And you may need just a little more oil. And I think I'll add a little bit of olive oil, actually. Just a little. I'm going to let them get some color. You know, we got a lot of fond on the bottom of the pan. I'm going to add a little salt. There we go. A little salt. Now once those onions start to get a little brown, you're going to be surprised at what we're going to do. Now, we're going to add some brown sugar. So I'm getting a spoon. Got my brown sugar. Starting with a heaping tablespoon. And I'm going to put in two heaping tablespoons of brown sugar. And I'm going to let that start to break down and caramelize. It's going to work with those onions. I'm going to add just a little pepper. You know, dinner is always a fun time. It's a time that we spend with our family. And being the home cook, cooking a homemade meal is just, it just kind of makes your day. Because when your family sits down to dinner and everybody gets quiet, oh my goodness, it's on. So let's add some of those apples. We're going to add about 2 cups of those Granny Smith apples that we diced. And the last few that were left over, we're going to throw those in as well. And of course, we have to have one for the cook.
I'm going to add a little more salt. We've got plenty of pepper. And I need to let this cook. So I'm just going to let those stay there for a little while. The way we would do if you were going to fix hash brown potatoes, you know, we need them to stay in place. So I'm going to let these stay in place, let them start to cook down, get some juiciness, and then we'll be ready to move on. I'm going to add a touch of apple pie spice. Just a touch. A few shakes just to give it that extra smell. And then we're going to put in a little bit of apple cider vinegar, which is going to help in breaking those apples down as well. We're going to eyeball about 3 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. 1, 2, and 3. Now, if you have wine and you'd rather add white wine, a real dry white wine, you could certainly do that, but I'm not. Ooh. Okay, now these are going to break down. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add those pork chops in right on top of the apples because they're nice and brown. So I'm going to put these in. And like I said, this is one of those weeknight meals that I could put this together, go off, do some decorating, read with the children, whatever it is that I need to do for that day or that evening while my dinner finishes. I'm going to put a top on it. And we're going to let this simmer until dinner time. Our pork chops have been simmering for a little while, and I decided what I would do is to add about a cup of chicken stock. And we're going to make a little bit of a gravy down in there. So I've added that chicken stock in, and it is just bubbling right away. And I'm going to keep this cooking until the apples are nice and soft and the pork chops are done. And I'll probably cut into one of the pork chops to make sure that it's done. And I could certainly use the instant read thermometer just to see, but these are really thin pork chops, so I think we'll be good to do a quick cut. I'm adding 1 tablespoon of Argo cornstarch to 1 tablespoon of water. I'm going to mix that well and then pour it into the liquid that's in the skillet. I'll probably go through and just kind of give those apples a little mash because I really do want this to turn out to have a thick, chunky gravy that we're going to be able to put over those pork chops. Let's move those chops around and really get up under them and get to those apples and make that gravy. You can see that it is very thick. I'm probably going to add just a little bit more liquid to our skillet because I want these pork chops to simmer
so that when I take them out at dinner time, those pork chops are literally going to melt in your mouth. You'll see that by adding the additional liquid that the gravy level has come up to the pork chops. And in fact, in some places, it's actually gone over the pork chops. And that's good because as these cook, the apples are going to continue to break down and the pork chops are going to soften and get very, very, very delicious. Most difficult things when a new home cook is trying to juggle dinner and all the parts of dinner is timing. And you know, now that the gravy is where we want it, it's time to get that rice into the microwave and go ahead and get it cooked. So we're going to take care of that. And once that rice comes out, then dinner is going to be served. Now, this looks amazing. Now on this, oh my goodness, this is fall. You got the savoriness of the pork chops and the apples with the gravy. You've got the cabbage on the side, lots and lots of fall, and all of that is served over a bed of rice. We have our rice. And have our chop. We're going to add our delicious gravy. Yummy, yummy, yummy. A little cabbage on the side. All of the flavors of fall. Yummy. Now, if you like easy
and delicious, and this is even budget friendly weeknight meals, then make sure that you check out my playlist for those weeknight meals and budget friendly meals. I'll see you soon right here in the kitchen of Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme.